We're looking at a 9-time Gold Glover, a potential future Hall of Famer, whose offensive production in 2025 suddenly cratered to a historically low .220 average and a dismal 85 OPS+, numbers that scream retirement home rather than MVP candidate. But the central question isn't whether Nolan Arenado is simply washed up. The crucial inquiry is, did the psychological and structural black hole of St. Louis mediocrity steal his soul? And can the kinetic, competitive energy of the Diamondbacks youth restore the greatness he left behind in the Midwest? If you believe that a change of scenery is sometimes the only medicine for a declining superstar, you are in the right place. Welcome to 615 Al Dia Baseball, where we trade the hot takes for cold, hard data and passionate analysis. Let's be brutally honest about St. Louis. Since 2023, they became the Mount Rushmore of mid, the holy trinity of Zanaya, Burger King, and James Gunn's movie phase, just boringly adequate, neither fun enough to watch crash like the Pirates, nor good enough to contend. When you are operating in that kind of vacuum, where the front office under Chaim Bloom is systematically dismantling the last vestiges of a competitive roster, trading away veterans not in a controversial Mookie Betts-level move, but in a quiet, universally accepted whimper, the atmosphere gets toxic. Remember, Arenado had the power, the sacred no-trade clause, and he used it a year prior to kill a deal to the Astros, a guaranteed playoff contender, only to stay with the Cardinals, who promptly became irrelevant. That decision, that internal fight, speaks volumes about the emotional exhaustion brewing in the clubhouse. He should have already been a year removed from being a Cardinal, but he chose loyalty, and loyalty delivered him 2 years of pain. Now the Diamondbacks step in with the simplest of exchanges, a clean one-for-one swap. Arenado for a pitching prospect, Jack Martinez. On paper, Arizona is buying a known commodity, the guaranteed elite defense at third base that looks like a highlight reel curated by the Savannah Bananas, making plays that defy physics. But the offense is the open wound, the massive question mark hanging over the steal. Skeptics, and there are many, immediately point to the Coors Field hangover narrative, that tired argument that any success Arenado had was merely a product of altitude, a ghost from his first 8 years in Colorado. But that argument died in 2022, when Arenado had arguably his best season ever in St. Louis, finishing third in MVP voting, putting up numbers that silenced every geographical critic. That peak performance, sandwiched between the generational tease of 2022 and the abysmal 2025, proves his talent is portable. So if the talent is portable, why the catastrophic drop-off in 2025? This is where we need to look deeper than the box score. Many analysts, like the esteemed Dr. Marcus Reed, a biomechanics specialist, argue that the decline was less about skill and more about structural failure. The PCL strain in his non-dominant hand, suffered early in the year, forced a negative rotational torque adjustment across his entire swing path, Dr. Reed details. We saw his average hard hit rate drop by 12%, and, critically, his average exit velocity fell 3.5 miles per hour in the second half of 2025. That's not a talent issue, that's an engineering failure, compounded by injury, which then led to the shoulder strain. Arenado wasn't just mid, he was physically compromised, trying to play through it in a dying environment. His 2025 was objectively awful, missing a third of the season, yes, but even when he played, he was hobbled. And here is where the D-backs revival story gets traction. We saw this exact scenario play out with George Springer, who went from a mid-2023 and slightly subpar 2024 to a full-blown prime Houston reincarnation in 2025 with the Blue Jays, finishing top 7 in MVP voting. Who is to say Arenado, moving to a notoriously offense-friendly ballpark in Arizona, a better option than returning to the thin air of Colorado if winning is the goal, cannot mirror that resurgence? This move immediately vaults the D-backs infield into the conversation for the best in baseball, both defensively and potentially offensively. Think about the synergy. You have Ketel Marte at second, the dynamic, recently retained star who looked like he was leaving town until someone snapped the infinity gauntlet and kept him. Geraldo Perdomo at short, who not only is a great defender but took a massive offensive leap last year. And now, Arenado at third. Forget who plays first base. You could put me there, and this combination of Marte, Perdomo, and Arenado would still be the engine of the entire defense. But the plot twist here, the real untapped value the Diamondbacks acquired, isn't just the guaranteed Gold Glove defense, which, by the way, still netted him a stellar plus 15 defensive runs saved in his awful 2025 season. It's the mentorship and the psychological boost. An insider within the D-backs organization, speaking on condition of anonymity, described the trade bluntly. "We didn't just buy a player, we bought a desperate competitor." St. Louis felt like a slow, painful funeral for Nolan. Arizona is a lightning rod of young energy and competence. They are counting on the fact that Arenado thrives on competition and that the simple act of escaping the mid-atmosphere will unlock his bat, even if only partially. If he can just return to his 2023 numbers, a solid, not stellar, but certainly not mid-season, the D-backs are contenders. If he gets 80% of his 2022 form back, they become the undisputed division favorites, immediately addressing their glaring need for consistent, power-hitting third base production. They still need pitching more than I need a coherent sleep schedule, but progress is progress, and acquiring a wounded yet still elite superstar looking for vindication is exactly the kind of high-risk, high-reward move that separates contenders from pretenders. Arenado's pride, battered by 2 years of decline and the ignominy of being traded for a single prospect, is the explosive fuel the Diamondbacks are banking on. Can the D-backs revive Nolan Arenado? Absolutely. The greater question, the one that guarantees a must-watch season, is whether he is about to show the world that the mid-Cardinal system was the poison and Arizona is the cure. What do you, the elite audience of 615 Al Dia Baseball, think? Is this the perfect storm for a resurgence, or are the Diamondbacks destined to regret taking on a declining legend? Let us know in the comments below. Hit that like button if you believe in the power of a change of scenery. Share this analysis with your fellow baseball fanatics, and please make sure you subscribe to 615 Al Dia Baseball so you never miss our deep dive coverage. Love you.